And we are live, I think. Right, hi guys. Welcome to our Tuesday TAT chat with myself and Zahir, and we have a special guest. Zahir, do you want to say hi quickly first, mate?
Yep. Hello, everybody. It's here. That's all I got.
That'll do. That works. And yeah, pleased to say we've got Ken back with us to have a bit of a chat. How are you doing, Ken?
Hi, yeah. Am I breaking up? Because you're breaking up really bad on my side.
No, you're coming through fine. Everything looks.
Nick, you're okay. It's Nick who seems to be breaking up.
Oh. We'll get the chat open and people can let us know what's actually going out live.
Right. Okay.
It's probably me.
It seems okay on the stream. I'm watching it on the old YouTube. We've got
right. It might just be from my side. Yeah. Hi everyone. Sorry about that. Yeah. I'm back.
So how's business, Ken, since I last saw you, mate?
Generally, it's been pretty good, really. But last week was quiet, which will probably be reselling video. But prior to that, it's been pretty good. I seem to be sort of from June. I've been averaging about £1,000 a week, 100,000, and then the next week just slightly over 1,000. So I'm pretty much on target with what I expect to be doing with the level of stock I've got. Really, I'm just getting towards the end of my PayPal working capital now. I think I owed, with tonight's payment, I probably owe £900, so that'll be paid in 3 or 4 weeks' time, and then that'll be the next big push. Then with some more stock buying, really.
So you're going to take out another one and just go bananas at auction?
Yeah, that's what I keep doing. I just take out another one and then just boost it again and give it another boost, and hopefully the takings increase. That gets paid off quicker, and then get another one and just keep doing that. For the sort of fee they charge you when you pay back 25%, it's not that bad, really. You know, the last time I borrowed £6,500, and they only charged me £500. So, you know, and if you turn that £6,000 into sort of like 24 grand's worth of stock, the £500 is next to nothing, really, is it? So,
yeah,
that's the way I look at it, really.
Are you getting anywhere near a point where you've got no more space, or are you a long way off that?
Not really, because I'm buying a lot of smalls, and we've organised a little bit better. I mean, the place is a tip, but I think I will be getting storage in a few months. I've already got a quote for storage. I can get 100. I think it's 150 square feet. It's sort of like probably not much smaller than your garage there, width-wise, but not as deep.
Yeah.
And I can get that for £24 a week all in, fully insured. They've got internet access there, so you can pick your orders while you're there. They've got a meeting room there. If you want to list stuff, you can even do it there, free Wi-Fi. They've got a deal with TNT. If you want to deliver bigger stuff, they'll accept deliveries for you. If you just want to get stock delivered straight to there. And also, they have like a room where you can say somebody wants to collect something in person, you don't want to collect it from your house. You can put it in this room and just notify them, and then they can collect it from there and sign for it and what have you. So there's a lot of little benefits. So I'm thinking I'm going to go into that, really.
So would you move
one room? No. What I'll do is it'll be new stock, just the new stock. I'll let the larger items run. I'll take the larger items out of the house. Put all the new larger items in there. But obviously, I'll just do it like you do with an FBA box. I'll have a box here. I'll label the box with a code on the front of it. I'll do my listings. I'll fill that box up, and I'll take that box to the unit because I need to know whether the stock's in the unit or it's at home because I'll have stock in 2 places then.
Yeah.
So I'll have to get organised. But I want more storage room here because I want to sort all my other little small items out and get a much higher ratio of smalls, really. So that's the plan. I think I should be all right then, maybe for another 10,000 items. I think especially if there's a lot of smalls.
Ken, just a quick question there in the chat for you. By the way, we've got 69 people in here now, so hello to lots and lots of people. A lot of the regular folk are in here. We'll do shout outs in a minute, but just I know you've touched on this before, but just to clarify, Kevin Roston just asked, surely getting a loan would be cheaper. I mean, in my experience of working capital, I don't think that's right. I mean, obviously you're quite knowledgeable on this topic as well. I mean,
Yeah, well, the APR on a working capital is higher. Don't get me wrong, but on a loan you pay it back over 5 years. So the payments would be more, there would be more interest on a loan. I've had loans in the past, not for the business, for other reasons. And you borrow £5,000 and you paid about £2,000 interest because you paid it back over 5 years. And I'm stuck for 5 years there. Well, with the working capital, I took £6,500 out on May the 21st. I've nearly paid it off.
Yeah, and that's all because it's tied in with your business, isn't it? They've got to make it into hand. And you know, one thing that obviously that I've picked up from speaking to you over the last few months is you've been consistently doing, and obviously showing in your weekly sales videos, you've consistently been hitting like 1,000. And last week was like the first blip, wasn't it? Really,
I had an 850 quid week the week before, and I had a 590 quid week this week that's just gone. But I've also had £1,600 weeks.
Yeah. So I mean, you nailed I think one of the biggest kind of things that we all battle with as resellers is getting consistency, isn't it? It's the one question everyone always asks, like, how do you cope not knowing how much is going to come in? And I mean, I've got to say, surely that's got to be down to the size of your inventory that you've managed to get that level of consistency.
Yeah. I mean, last year a bad week was 200 quid. This year a bad week 600 quid. So next year a bad week might be 1,000. So that's the way you got to look at it. It just, the more stock you get on, and also the more variety as well, it just evens it out a little bit. So those dips are not like catastrophic. Like last week, if I didn't buy any stock, I've still got a few hundred quid to live off if I really needed to use it. So it's not that disastrous as if like it drops down to 150 and the council tax bill's due, sort of thing. You know what I mean? But that's only because, like I say, because of the level of stock. And in the sort of stuff I'm selling, it is pretty much specialist. So some weeks you will get really, really good sales because a couple of £200 items will sell. The only thing I would say is I want to try and build that average price up a bit more. I'm averaging about £23 an item at the moment. If I can get that up to sort of like 35.
It's all about keeping track of your habits, though, isn't it? I mean, because I noticed something similar. Like I'd gotten into the habit of going for more job lotty items, not necessarily just from the auction, but I found that because of that, I realized that my number of items, which were like, say, £50 to £100 plus, had dwindled compared to before. And then all it's taken is a couple of weeks of focusing on that, and I've started to build that back up again. And I think part of this whole thing is
Ken,
I'll just drop me. No, hang on a minute. I mean, I'm still here. I'm just trying to.
Right, keep going, Z. Keep going, Z.
I was just thinking, keep it professional. No, I was just thinking one of the biggest challenges of reselling, and especially when you've got organizational issues, maybe that's the way I'd put it for myself. Nick, you know what I mean? Just
what are you trying to say?
Wonderful
organisation.
I'm back.
Yeah, like when you've got organizational issues anyway, I think just keep remembering what to focus on week in, week out is not as easy as it sounds. Because obviously it just sounds really easy. Of course, buy a mix. Remember to buy a mixture of smalls, which, by the way, got a little laugh in the chat, Ken, when you said smalls. Visions of Ken buying underwear. But yeah,
like, smalls is just a term that antique dealers use for small items. We just call them smalls,
But so that's just it. I mean, like it sounds easy to remember to buy your smalls, your bread and butter items, but also remembering to buy the high ticket stuff. And it can be something as simple as not focusing on it, and you can just drift away from just buying those big ticket items.
Yeah.
You end up just buying job lot after job lot. And
I don't specifically look for job lots though, Z. It's not that I specifically go out and think I'm going to buy 10 job lots today. I just go and I see stuff, and if I see value in it, sometimes it's an individual item. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I sold an artist chest, options as a collector's chest, but when I looked at it, it was all sort of like for pencils inside, but it was beautiful, made of mahogany. I paid 80 quid for that. I sold it for 200 and it sold really quick, so I may have been able to get more. But the thing is I will buy those items as well,
if
but
they come up.
I've not got the money to buy all of those, So the job lots work out better.
Yeah, I mean, I think ideally I'd love it if I could get to the stage where you could have, a good number of those types of items, because I always find that these items, like the single items, they do tend to sell quicker as well, don't they?
Yeah,
They're in demand, so yeah, you do pay up, but you're getting a really nice chunk of change when you sell them. And they go quick as well. I mean, I remember you had those Art Deco. Oh, was it like a bookend or something? It was like really weird.
That letter rack. Yeah, the letter rack.
Yeah, that was it, I think.
That sold the same day, that.
Yeah.
Was that the one that went for hundreds, mate? And it just looked to me like nothing.
Yeah, it was a Carvercraft Bakelite letter rack, yeah.
Was that 300?
But I paid 100 quid for that. I had to pay 100 quid for it. And I got 250 back,
Yeah. We'll check into the chat in a sec, but I just want to ask yourself, see, how has your week been since I spoke to you? Have you seen consistency at all?
No, I'm not. I think because of my stock levels, there's no consistency here, Nick. No. Luckily, though, like where eBay's let me down, I've had a few things go off Amazon, which has been really nice.
Nice.
But like I've got we've been busy sourcing and just getting some, like I said, some higher ticket items in, and I've got some interest on those, and I think I'm just trying to hold out for slightly like higher prices. I could probably get some sales if I dropped the money a little bit, but I'm pretty happy with it as it is, and I just want to like build that. Like I said, I want to always know I've got X amount of like 50, 100 pound plus items sitting to go off. It just makes me feel nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's take a look and see. Your good wife is in there, Zahir, keeping an eye on you.
Yeah, 102 people in the chat, by the way.
Wow, 102. So let's say a quick few hellos. We've got Sean in there. Hi, Sean. Gary, Wesley, Amanda, Mrs. H, Ultra Game World. That's
Michael.
Mike, yeah, Michael.
Yeah.
Caroline, hi, Kaz. Texas, Margaret's in there. Steve Green, hi, Steve. Lots and lots of people. David Morse, Peter Crawford, lots and lots. So yeah, hi guys. If you do have questions, we can try and get on them, but you know us, we tend to ramble and ignore it sometimes. But kind of loosely as a theme for today, I wanted to chat a bit to Ken about his series of videos he started about the realities of selling as a full-time business. So do you want, for those that haven't seen those videos, or the first one you did, Ken, do you want to roughly sum up what you were getting at with that video?
Yeah, the first one, really, what I was trying to do was kind of sort of like think of, say, somebody who's thinking of giving the job up on a reasonable wage, say they were a policeman or a nurse or a low-grade teacher or a health worker or whatever, and they were on the UK average wage of £27,000 a year. What they need to do if they sort of like said on a Friday, yeah, I'm giving this up, and on a Monday I'm going to start reselling. What you need to sell at certain price points, and it was quite surprising, the actual volume of stock that you need to shift, especially if you're selling lower value items, and especially if you're doing free post. If you're doing £10 free post items, I think it works out that you'd have to sell 109 items a week, which is going some, innit? I mean, I sell about 50 a week now, so that's took me 2 years to build up to that. So if someone was selling media or whatever, they could probably do the 109 items a week. But again, the investment that you need, and not just that, it's the case of that you've got to replace that stock, the time it takes to list it. There's a lot of work involved. And I just wanted to sort of like point it out that starting a business online is no different than starting a business anywhere else. A lot will fail, a lot won't like it. A lot will end up giving up or what have you, and a lot will take a time to grow. And if you want to do it full time, you've got to put up with 2 or 3 years of very, very little money. In terms of, I mean, now I'd say I'm taking £1,000 a week on stock because I'm trying to boost that up to £2,000 a week. And I ain't going to do that unless I buy more stock than I'm selling. So when you're buying more stock than you're selling, you're spending a lot of your profits that eventually, once I reach a certain level, I'll have a certain profit level, and I can say to myself, yeah, I'll just replace what's sold. But when you're growing it, you're selling one item and you're buying three. So consequently, those first few years, you're not going to make a lot of money. And I'm just trying to put that over so that people don't really get disappointed when they get into it and they think, well, what am I doing wrong? You're not really doing anything wrong. It's just a case that between gross and nets, basically. That's what it is.
Ken, I mean, you're definitely getting through to people, though. I mean, we've had some really nice comments just while you've been talking. I mean, Wesley Lowe and Vincent Vitika both basically said they love the honesty in your videos. And I've got to say, what you're saying is, it resonates with me as well, because obviously I am relatively new to this when you look at it in the scheme of things, and it is hard. Then you do have to slowly build it up, you know, unless you're going to get really lucky maybe and find like a lottery item, you know, like that, you know, sometimes you hear people.
Yeah, but that's not very likely to happen, is it really?
Exactly. So in most cases it is the slow, long graft. I mean, you know, everyone looks at Nick as well as a great example, but again, it's taken Nick years, you know, to get to the level where he's at now, where he can literally not stop buying masses and masses of TAT. So
exactly, and there's 15 years of history to get to this point, and I have got myself in a position where I've said this recently, that I don't have to bust a gut to be comfortable. But the first, I'd say 3 years were tough, and that was a decision we knew we were taking, and we took it, and we gave up better paid jobs to take that choice. But we took it, as we've discussed again recently, for more reasons of family and, you know, quality of life. But then long term, it's paid off. But yeah, I was going to say, Ken, what came through in that video to me was that I definitely think people don't focus on the numbers enough. And if you're going to go into any sort of business, you have to have your finger right on the pulse of the numbers and understand them. And the key between gross and profit, that difference, just understanding that difference, I think people struggle with. And they look at their turnover and think, I've made $5,000 this month. Well, no, you haven't. That's what you turned over. And the difference is huge. So I think it was highlight that really well.
Yeah, and I think it's particularly, I don't want to keep bashing on about it because I've mentioned it so many times. The free post thing is the biggest thing that I think people don't calculate into their takings, because you see every video where they go, I got a tenner for that, you know, and no, you didn't. You got £7, it's a parcel. The other £3 is postage. Now, my buying decision would be completely different. If I went into a charity shop and I saw an item for £2 and I could sell it for £10 plus postage, I'd probably think, yeah, I'm going to make a fiver on that, you know, after fees and what have you. But then if I thought to myself, I'm a free post guy, I think, I want to get a tenner for that, and it's including postage, I just wouldn't buy that because I know there's not enough money in it. So, but I think a lot of people, they think of that headline price and they're clouded by it. When they're going out buying, they're not thinking, oh, I'm getting £7 plus £3 postage. They're thinking, I'm getting a tenner. So in their mind, £1 into 10 is good. And they're not in buying decisions. That's what I'm saying. Whereas at the auctions, when I go to the auctions, I get a job lot of stuff, job lot of the items that I know about straight away. So there'll be other items in there that are free items that are basically what I call a Brucey bonus. But I don't have to think about the postage. If it's 20 items, 50 items, it doesn't matter. I think to myself, that job lot's worth at least £100. And I always value it on the low side. So there's a good chance with all the free items, it's probably going to be worth 200 to 250. If it's worth £100, I will bid maximum £40 on that. And that will give me double my money because that's 40% of the value of that item safely is covered, plus the fees and what have you will take it up to just over 50%. So I'll roughly double my money, guaranteed. And then everything that comes after that is a bonus. Okay, but if suddenly you're selling everything free post and you've got a job lot of 100 items, how are you going to work that out? It just makes the buying decision so much more complicated, and you end up buying stuff that you're actually not making a penny on, you know, and that's the danger. So why, you know, for most things I would say do the paid postage. And I did a video after that on free post or paid post. And actually the paid post items were outselling the free post items 2-1. And I did 3 different items in 3 different categories. Obviously, it won't be applicable to every category on eBay, but I did 3 different items, and you know, you've got 20,000 military badges listed, and eBay tell you that if you do free post, you're going to come higher up in best match. Now, that first page only holds 50 items, so if you think to yourself, what microscopic percentage of those 20,000 badges are on that first page? Yet 24 out of the 50 items were paid postage.
Yeah,
why is that so? Why?
I was going to say, could it be that those sellers are top rated whereas others aren't, or that
it could be a whole lot of
influences though, as well as what I was going to.
It could be. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of other, but people seem to take this sort of like as the word of God that free post is the be all and end all. That's all that matters.
Well, eBay pushed it so hard a year or so back, didn't they, with the whole top-rated seller and you'll get this bonus and that bonus, and kind of everyone jumped on it. And now a lot of the people I talk to have just jumped off again. I certainly have. I do free post on large letter size stuff and media generally. Everything else.
With a letter, you're okay because it's going to cost you £1, isn't it? But when it gets a small parcel, low value.
I mean, what I would add to that though is, again, what comes out of this is knowing your business, knowing your business well. You know, depending on what you're selling. I mean, there are plenty of resellers out there. I think Bobby Billington's one that springs to mind. He does free post as well, but he knows his business very well. The majority of the stuff he sells are certain types of clothes, and he finds he's more competitive that way. So,
sorry, I was going to say, if you're adding in enough into that price, then there's no issue. But what Ken, I think, is focusing on is a low value item, £10 item, which covers a lot of stuff. If you're including the postage in that, that's a third of the overall gross.
The only other factor would be the only other factor to that would then be your turnover. If you're someone that's selling extremely fast moving items that you're able to source a lot of, then but I mean, I just don't want to kind of be like completely anti it, because you do have to bear in mind, I suppose, that there are, you know, you have to look at your particular situation, what percentage of your inventory suits that and what doesn't. I mean, you could go, you know, if your inventory is heavily within a certain category which is dominated by free post, and maybe the top 50 searches are all free post, then it might be advisable to use free post. Again, what it comes down to is you've got to, you know, take in this information because it is gold, and then kind of, you know, apply it to what you're doing and see whether it fits.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many business models that work. It's like if you take the sort of Music Magpie approach, sell your CDs for £1.27 free post. You might think, well, why the hell are they bothering? But they are happy to sell 1 million a month at 25p profit, or whatever they're taking. God knows what they're taking on the cheap stuff. But they obviously know their numbers in and out. They'd be crazy to be turning over that sort of volume and not know the numbers down to a finite detail. So whatever your business model is, as long as you've looked at the numbers in as much detail as Ken was describing, then you're fine, because you know what your margins are, you know what your profit at the end of the month is, and you're happy. But I think the point is, understand what you're actually making. I think, would that sum it up, Ken?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I think, you know, obviously it's the difference between gross and net, isn't it? You know, that's the main thing. And I think, especially for the inexperienced sellers, and the newer sellers, it's probably just easier to do it paid postage. That's all I'm thinking, because at the end of the day, you've only got to work out then, I buy an item for £5, I'm going to sell it for 20. I've got my original £5, I've got £2 fees, I've got £1 for PayPal. I'm going to make roughly £12 profit, minus, you know, fuel and heat and light and that sort of thing. So you know roughly what you're going to make. But when you add another thing into it to think about, and then you stop thinking about it because you're so much in the habit of just thinking, that's a £10 item, that's a £20 item. I mean, when I moved from free post to paid post, I never reduced my prices to the original price that I wanted. So suddenly I'm making more profit. because a £20 item free post turned into a £20 item pay post. And as you can see from my sales videos over the last 2 years, I've not lost any money. I'm taking more than I've ever took. So I don't think the postage is an issue, you know, not in my sector anyway.
No, I don't think so. I was just looking, some people are commenting about their opinions about free posts. Let's have a look. Somebody was saying that for multi-buys, if you offer free posts, it doesn't help. I've always said that as well. If you offer postage on top, you can then offer postage discounts, which are genuine discounts. Whereas if it's built in, you've got to go through the whole palaver of knocking money off and that, and you can't set up postage discounts.
Oh, best offer as well, when they start offering you, you know, because the buyer sees that as, I'm paying £15 for the item, and they think, right, well, I'll offer him a tenner, and suddenly they're offering you a tenner, but you've got £3 postage out of that. Now they don't see that; they just see that as offering you a tenner for that item. They're not even thinking about the postage. Especially with mobile these days, most people just look at the headline price. The postage is an additional thing. I mean, you go to any of the war game suppliers that I use, they all charge you postage unless you order over £100 worth. You go to Currys, they charge you delivery, you know. Tesco's charge you to get your food delivered. If you want to have it delivered, you got to pay for that service. It is a service that people need to pay for. I feel quite strongly about it because, you know,
I think that's a good point actually, Ken, because that's something that me and Beck had a chat about. Like, Beck's really keen on people paying posts just so they realise it costs money. Because you're right, especially when they're making offers, they completely disregard that, don't they? Buyers will completely not think of that it does cost money. So in a way, when you're charging, it's nothing else. Yeah, go on.
I had one this week. I had a shaving kit that I sold for 20. It was on for 25, and it was a free post item. It was one of my older items, so it's still on free post. And he comes in with an offer of £15. So I messaged him back. I said, sorry, it's going to have to be 20. I said, it's going to cost me £4 to post it, because I post everything recorded. You know, I've always done that. It's a habit that I've got into that really I should get out of, really, on the low value items. But everything apart from postcards and photographs, I post recorded. So I said, it's going to cost me £4 to post that, so I can't take any less than 20. I wake up the next morning and he's paid £20 for it. You know, I've sent him an offer through and he's paid £20. So, you know, he's probably not even thought about that. He's just thought, I'm giving him £15 for that, you know. But in reality, he'd be giving me £11, wouldn't he? You know, the rest of it's postage.
Yeah, it just occurred to me that I made a cock up this week. It's going to cost me because of the postage, and because it was my mistake, I'm going to have to pay to get it back as well. It was in my last sales roundup. I sold some Nike ice hockey boots. I don't know if you saw them, but I found a similar pair on eBay and did sell similar. Wrote out on my description and used their title. So what didn't I change in the title?
The size
of the boots. So I sold these boots and sent them off, recorded delivery, cost me about £5, and yeah, they've got them, and they're like, why have you sent me size 5s when you sold me size 6s or whatever it was? So yeah, I've now got to pay to get those back, and I'll lose the postage that it cost me to send them, and yeah. So livid with myself. I hate it when you make obvious cock-ups.
Yeah, we all do that though, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, I do that when I'm listing. You know, I leave the photographs from one item, I start listing the next item, and I forget to change the photographs, and suddenly I've got 2 items with different descriptions but with the same set of photos, you know. And then somebody, you know, messaged me and said, you know, you say that's a Huntley and Palmer's tin, yeah, it says Smith's Crisps on it, you know. Yeah, so it's just because you forget, don't you? You get into the zone and you just forget, you know, as you're doing them, you know.
Yeah, or you just completely forget to change the title, or you forget to change the description, one or the other, and it just goes through. And sometimes they sit there for months and months on end, and then a buyer will suddenly message you and say, why does it say this in the title and this in the description? And you're like, oh yeah, sorry, change it. So easy.
I've done it with that as well, where like I've been listing postcards at 95p postage, and then I've listed something that's Parcel Force 48 at £12.50 postage, and I've just forgot to change the postage, and it's got 95p on it, and somebody buys it, and what can you do, you know?
Yeah.
But you've just got to be careful, haven't you? You know,
it's worse at the end of the day, isn't it? Let's say you put in a big session of listing, you get towards the end, and your brain's slowing down, and you just start missing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible. Right. Have you seen any questions here? I'm going to have a look in, see what people are talking about. Let me just read this one, actually. Vincent Vitique, I think it is, says there's no right or wrong. This is going back to postage. It's only wrong when you lose money over stupidity. Either hide it in or list with postage, just don't lose money. Well, yeah, that kind of sums it up.
Well, that's basically what I'm saying. But for your rookie seller, it's very, very easy to get carried away with yourself and not build it in, and get into the habit of not building it in. Yeah. I mean, I've seen so many sales videos of people's, and I've looked at it and thought, why you're not even making a quid on that? What's the point? So there's a lot of people who don't do that, and that was one of the things.
Amanda says she does inclusive postage on most of her stuff, and she does discount for bulk buys with no problem. So that obviously works for some. But I just find with the automated postage discounts, they can do it and check out with not even having to email you.
Can buy postage, yeah.
What I found really helped as a newbie to it all was in the beginning, in the very first few months or the first year of reselling, I would literally, I had a spreadsheet where I would work out exactly what I was making on everything. And I don't do it now because it's not time efficient. It's not really worth doing. But in looking back on it, I actually think it was worth doing in the beginning at least. So if you're new to this, it might be an idea that to go through some of your listings that you've got up and work out to the penny what you're going to be left with. Work out the exact. We check the category, make sure it's a 10% eBay fee, because some are lower, some might be higher, but most of them are going to be lower than 10% or 10%. Make sure you work out your PayPal fee, that your 3.4% plus 20p. Make sure you take out your shipping, your supplies, everything to the penny. And you do that just for a few of your items, or just do it on your last 5 sold items. And the more I did it, I think it just kind of ingrained in me an idea where now I can look at something and be have a realistic idea of what I will walk away with after.
Yeah. And also when you're a low volume seller, when you first start off, a lot of people don't calculate in the cost of each sale when you divide it into your shop subscription, because people only think of what it costs to list an item. But important factor, if you're only selling 50 items a month and you're paying 20 quid to list them, a proportion of that 20 quid divided by 50 is the cost. So that will go on top of your eBay fees in effect and eat away at that profit. A lot of people don't calculate that in. It's not the cost of listing really in terms of your number of free listings. If you're only selling 10 items and you pay 20 quid shop subscription, it's costing you 50p an item to sell that item, basically. So on top of your 10% commission, you've got that to calculate in as well. Per item. Obviously, once you get more established and you're selling more and more items, that cost comes down. But yeah, I just wanted to try and, there's been a lot of videos over the years that have sort of make it sound that everything in the garden is rosy, and all you got to do is just go out, buy a load of stuff, and stick it on eBay, sit back and let the quids roll in. But I'm just trying to do some videos that so people, if they are thinking of coming into it, they're coming into it with their eyes open and realising the level of work that's needed, the problems that they're going to encounter along the way, and sort of little tips for sort of finding out how fast an item sells, or whether it's better to auction it or buy it now, because some items are actually better on auction. There's certain categories where you'll virtually guarantee 100% sales if you sell it on auction. Now you could be sat on it for months. So there's lots of different things to consider, and that's the sort of things that I'm trying to cover in the actually, rather than just backing it up with anecdotal evidence, actually going into eBay and showing people the real figures. So then you're under no illusion that it's not just me spinning you a tale, it's actually what's happening. You know, that was the idea.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I mean, I've probably been guilty over the years of not showing the nitty-gritty of it all enough, because I try and portray a positive and encourage people to have a go and all of that. That's kind of been my mantra since the beginning, is have a go and try this, it's great. But more so, I think I want to show the reality of it, because I wouldn't want anyone to get, certainly not to go full-time without doing their homework, would be my idea. So yeah, I think they're great. Have you got plans for more of these sort of videos, or not?
Yeah, I'm going to do one on sort of like, I mean, I've touched on it in some of the other videos, how to find out an item that's got a really, really good sell-through rate. If you're doing, you know, if you want to sort of like move the cheaper items, you're probably better off trying to find stuff that's got a good sell-through rate, aren't you, really, to keep that stock moving? So I'm going to do little find categories, but I mean, it'll take me some work. I'll have to go through eBay myself and, you know, save all the different screens or what have you, and find stuff with really good sell-through rates. And then, as the opposite side to that, find items with a really poor sell-through rate, but yes, they may be very, very high value. Yeah. You know, all sorts of stuff like that I'm going to do. And I'm going to do one as well on sort of like the reseller doubts, you know, that creep in when we have a bad week, because I had you know, for this year, a bad week last week, and suddenly, you know, you've amassed, like, I've got 80,000 quid's worth of stock listed now, so you've amassed all this stock, which you've built up from nothing, and then suddenly you have a bad week, and suddenly you're thinking, why have I bought 80,000 quid's worth of shite? You know what I mean? It's just like, it doesn't take much to start doubting yourself. And I just want to do a sort of like a video on that, really.
I was going to ask you, Ken, does having that amount of value of stock behind you in any sense worry you at all sometimes, or is it a frightening thought that you've got that much, or is that almost a comfort blanket?
It's all paid for.
Yeah.
So apart from the 900 quid I owe PayPal, it's all paid for, and I've probably got another £20,000 worth of stock unlisted with all my photographs and postcards. So you could probably safely say I've got £100,000 worth of stock. So if I suddenly said to myself, right, I'm just going to let this lot trickle down, and I'm going to go get a full-time job, or I'll go back taxiing full-time, I could just let the eBay trickle down, not list anything, and that would be my profit for a couple of years, wouldn't it? I mean, I'd start off like turning over 1,000 quid a week, and it'd slowly drop and drop and drop. But that is money there, you know. And eventually, when I get up to that really high level, and I've got 500,000 quid's worth of stock sat behind me, you could go to a bank as a business then, and you can leverage against that stock. You can borrow against that stock because it's collateral. And then, you know, the sky's the limit there, because you can start going for the big wholesale deals where you're not physically going to touch the stock too much. You could just go and buy a load of stuff wholesale, but if you've got 50 grand, you could just blast 50 grand on something and say, yeah, I'll send it all up to FBA, I'll make 65 grand net, but that's 15 grand profit of money that would just be sat in an account waiting to pay the tax man. So you can get to that sort of level. So that stock is an asset to me, not a hindrance. Yeah. If it wasn't all listed, I would be worried. But it is listed, so...
Is it all insured, or have you not gone down that route, mate?
I've not gone down that route, no, not at the moment. But some of it's probably worth stealing, but most of it, you know, I don't know. It's just a risk you've got to take in it. But I'm at home, but there's always somebody in the house anyway, and the house is pretty secure, so, you know, I'm not too worried. But obviously, I'll be going into a storage unit within the next 6 months, and that will be fully insured. So all the larger items will be going there anyway.
Just going to take a look, see what's going on in the chat. I'm way, way behind. Vinny's in there. Says, Ken, you should order your Warhammer from me. Well, there you go. Maybe you got a Warhammer.
Well, I don't actually paint Warhammer, Vinny. I paint, if you know war games, I do paint the odd bit of Warhammer if people ask for it. But I paint predominantly historical war games figures like Bolt Action, Saga, if you know Saga, the Viking game. I'm doing some other World Miniatures soon, which are the old Dungeons and Dragons figures that have been re-sculpted. But mainly, I don't do a lot of Warhammer. I do mainly the 28mm historical figures. And I don't think Vinny sells those, does he? He doesn't sell like Perry miniatures and stuff and artisan miniatures.
Cool. Just having a look in here. Have you seen any questions here? Or have you not been looking?
There's a lot of comments and people talking amongst themselves as well.
Yeah, I'm just wading through.
Yeah, it is difficult to keep track.
Oh, apparently I'm number 2 on the top 5 resellers on YouTube according to the Reseller Network.
Well, that's good.
Thanks. Happy days. I agree with Young Ken. Young Ken? Who's Young Ken?
I'm 48 years of age.
I've just seen a question here from Adam Hauser. He asks, "Hi Ken, what categories work better as an auction?" You mentioned earlier that some might go better as auction.
Well, silver's a good one. Gold, coins, bullion. Anything that's got an intrinsic value, really. Records, if you pick the right records, can go phenomenal at auction. I mean, one of the categories that I looked at in my video on the free post, paid post, was Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. And a lot of those got really, really good prices at auction. Some of your big Lego sets do really, really well at auction. They will find a good value. You might not get that top equip. Like, say, the one I did was the Hogwarts Castle, and a couple of those went phenomenal at auction. But you might get 20 or 30 quid less, but you're still getting £200 odd for a set. So if you want your money, even if you paid 100 quid for it, and you're going to turn it into 200 in a week, you're going to make 60 or 70 pound wages, basically, aren't you, after costs within a week. So you get 4 or 5 of them, and you're laughing, really. But I think that the items that I think that struggle at auction are the more specialist stuff. It's stuff that people are interested in. You've got to have at least 2 people who really, really want it. That's the thing. And obviously, got Star Wars Millennium Falcon on now, the one that got discontinued a few years ago, that goes for ridiculous money. You put it on auction at 99p, it's gonna definitely not go for 99p, isn't it? It's gonna go for probably best part of 1,000 quid. So certain things. But then again, if you put like, I don't know, a Lego set that's just been given away as a freebie at Toys R Us, and there's thousands on Buy It Now, you're probably going to get nowhere near the Buy It Now price because there's so many already available. But when it's something that's really, really in demand, basically you could do really, really well at auction. My mate who's got the vintage shop, he's had some phenomenal auction results. Absolutely unbelievable. And he's had other stuff that's just gone for the one bid, He doesn't start at 99p though. He starts at about 50 to 70% of what he expects it to get Buy It Now. It's like when those Shelley trios he was selling last year, they were going for like he was starting them at 60 quid, and they were going for £400 or £500 just for a cup of sauce and a little sandwich plates, So certain items do really well. Your gold and silver will always do well no matter what because it's got an intrinsic value. You put a gold sovereign on, you could start it at a penny and it'll still go for what it's worth virtually in scrap value, in bullion value. You may not get, if you've got a gold sovereign that's a rare date and it's a superb condition, you may not get the full value, but you'll certainly get the value of an average sovereign for it. So, it's things like that, really.
Yeah, I think the auction versus Buy It Now debate will just rumble on, and it's personal preference to a certain extent as well, isn't it? I mean, we've seen that argument rolling on.
Yeah.
I put my 2 pence in, but
the thing is that the sell-through rates on auctions always are better than Buy It Now. The sell-through rate is much higher, but the actual price you get can vary. It's a little bit of a gamble, but the other guy who was doing the auctions before, I can't remember, the one guy who was on Leslie's show, Anthony, it depends what you're selling. It's not a case of, you know, everything's better on auction or everything's better buy it now. If you've got a really, really hot item, it could go crazy at auction, just like when, you know, somebody puts a painting into Christie's or whatever and it's valued at $250,000 and then you get two Russian guys bidding for it and it can go through the roof, you know. It's if that was in a gallery with a fixed price, it could sit there for years, but because it's at an auction, there's a buzz about it, people go crazy. So I'd say if you're selling stuff like really, really high demand Lego and stuff like that, the big sets, I don't think you'd really lose doing auctions.
No, I
can't see it. But if you were selling individual bricks, you would. You know, completely different market.
Let's have a look what's going on here. Vincent says education is key, and thanks to you three, we have that. Well, it's not just us three. There's many other people that are sharing good advice. Kevin says you have to look at the shelves behind Nick to see the reality. Well, yeah, it doesn't have to be like this, though. I would rather not have all these shelves full.
If you just look over my shoulder, you'll see a big shelf there with boxes and tins and stuff on it on the left-hand side there. There's another one over there. There's an attic full. There's a floor that looks like it's a war zone. There's paper everywhere. It's a tip. But, you know, I'm running a business out of my bedroom, so it's the price. That's another price that you have to pay, you know. When the BBC came round to film, I tidied up for 2 days and it's still a shithole. When I finished, it was no better, really. You know, just like I just moved it around a bit, you know.
Well, you probably saw the picture of my living room last week. That was a reality check for us.
But you've got to do it.
The living room's completely clear. We are still married. It's still fine. It's kind of in here. The spare room is full and the loft has a little bit in.
Yeah, but you've got to do it, Nick, haven't you? You can't, you know, you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs, as they say. You know, if you're working from home, you know, unless you're going to spend out like I am for a storage unit and add an extra cost to your business, you're going to have stock everywhere, aren't you? You can't avoid it.
Yeah, and you have to be an opportunist as well. I couldn't really see myself leaving that behind. So it meant getting a transit rammed to the rafters in one hit, which, especially at this time of year, wasn't even exactly ideal space-wise. But you can't say, hang on, mate, can you wait till, you know, 3 months?
You've got to have the money there and the willingness to buy it. And that's the thing I'm going to look at next year. I think with my cash going through the businesses, sometimes I have that temptation. I mean, I do list a lot. I'm a good lister. But to list, I'll go to the auctions and I'll spend money, and then I'll go to the auctions the week after and something really great's there, and I've not got the money because I've spent it on average stuff the week before. So I'm going to try and leave a little sort of like maybe £1,000 that's like a good deal money. You know, if a deal comes up and you know it's going to be really, really good, you've got the cash there to really capitalise on it, you know. A PayPal working capital through and suddenly you've got like 6 or 7 grand in your account. You're tempted to go out and just blow it all and get as much stock as you can, and it gets halfway through, you're paying back the loan, you've used all the money for stock, so money's coming out of the business to pay the loan back, so consequently you've got less to invest, and then because you've already invested it all, and then a big deal comes up, you know. So I'm going to try and be a little bit more careful.
We used to try and leave like 3 or 4 grand in an account somewhere. So if a deal like this one, for example, came up, we were able to, you know, grab that.
You could cover it, yeah.
We struggled when we tried to set up the clothing shop for the last year and a half because our money was going every month just to try and fund that and fuel that and try and make that happen. So I missed out on a lot of RA stuff that normally I would have gone big on. And consequently now, numbers are actually really good, but what I would have expected for this Christmas would be for FBA to go in berserk. But I haven't got half as much up there as would have wanted because that money was tied up. So, yeah, this Christmas won't be as big as last year for sure. Although saying that, the hall has started selling these things. They've been fantastic. I think I underpriced them, annoyingly. I sold 7 overnight.
Well, I mean, the money started coming virtually straight away then. But again, with that, Nick, another reseller reality is you've got this van load of stock, but you've had to start listing it straight away. You suddenly start sitting on that stock and doing nothing with it, and it's just an anchor then, isn't it, round your neck? It's just a millstone there. You know, you've got to actually buy the stuff, but then actually put your plan into action and actually start selling it, you know, listing it and getting it up there as quick as possible. And I think, again, a lot of us could be guilty of not doing that, you know.
It's only, I think, 20 different stock lines. So I think I've listed 80-90% of those stock lines already. There's a couple that are summer items that have been put in storage, and the rest of it is already done. So, yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Zahir? Are you seeing Christmas numbers kicking in at all? I mean, your stock's not really weighted towards that, is it?
Yeah, I don't often have like Christmas specific lines. So, but I have noticed the ones that I do have are like, you know, items that I've had for a while are slowly starting to pick up. But yeah, like I said, it's been a bit flaky on eBay, but then Amazon's kind of been a lot better than it has been. So it's making up for it in that sense. So I'm pretty happy for that.
Did you get an email about the fire? Did you have any stock damage? Because we have. No,
I've not had any stock damage. I believe if you have any stock damage, the listings you have appear as reserves, don't they? That's from what I picked up.
So far, we've had two it's reusable nappy lines that were up there that were fairly expensive items, but they were really super slow sellers, and we just sent them up when we closed the shop to sort of get them off, and hopefully somebody will pick them off. So I'm hoping that they're going to reimburse us fairly near retail. And I'm not sure they would have ever sold up there, so I'm quite happy that they got
burnt. I've not had that, but I've had a situation where something that I've got like 30 odd of up there is suddenly I'm not allowed to sell it anymore. Yeah, I had these. I think it must be something to do with Star Wars, because I double checked. I can't now list that item. So all of my listings just went inactive, and it looks like I'm going to have to get them sent back to me,
That seems so unfair that they allowed you to sell it.
At the time it was fine.
Send it up, and then they reversed that decision, costing you money.
At the time it was fine for me to sell it. I think I've heard in situations like this that as long as you sell just one item in that category, it somehow, if they do then change the rules, as it were, they grandfather you in, as it were, and then you're able to carry on selling in it even though someone else won't. But I'd sent these in and I hadn't sold one because I was asking like a Christmas price, because the idea was I'd be selling it at Christmas, but it just doesn't happen. So I've had to get those sent back, which is a bit upsetting, but it's part of the risk.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go on eBay, I guess. Is that the only option?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was thinking eBay, or even just sticking them on the Facebook Marketplace. Would be a perfect Christmas gift. So, and I don't think I have any issues shifting them. It's just I can't shift them on Amazon.
So you have to pay to get those back?
I will do, yeah. And because they're larger items, I think I'm going to have to pay like the 50 or 70 pence each on top. So I've had to pay to get them shipped out there, and now I'm going to be paying to ship them back. So,
no, you can't, because they're not active on there. I was say you can't drop ship them from there, really, can you?
No, they're just done. So inactive. Oh well, it happens.
It's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something. It's happened before to some people I've seen, and it's not just me. I think I noticed that everyone else that was on Prime on that listing also got booted off it, and I think there's only 3 Prime sellers, and they're all really big accounts with like 20,000 feedback and whatnot. So those guys are like the only ones that have got the listing. So.
Oh right.
Yeah. I've just been looking in the chat. There's so much chat going on, I can't really keep up with it. UK reseller says, Kenneth, not seen you for a while. Good to see you again. So one of your fans there, Ken.
Well, I'll do a video every week.
I don't know. The question for me, can you discuss Pitney Bowes franking machine hire as opposed to RM? Well, I don't have a Pitney Bowes franking machine. So
they keep asking me to get one of those, but I'm not going to bother.
No, I have an online business account, which is totally different.
It's not actually run by Royal Mail, is it? That they make it sound like it is when they say Royal Mail discounts on the email, but it's actually another company. And it works out about 17p an item cheaper, I think, something like that. But like you say, you've got to pay a rental for the machine. So I should imagine, unless you're selling a few hundred items a month, I mean, how many 17p? I don't even know what it costs to rent it, but say it's 40 quid a month. That's a lot of 17p's, isn't it, just to get that back? And then obviously there'll be supplies for it, I should imagine. I'm really basic with my postage. I don't even print eBay labels off, because my post office, if I print the labels off on eBay, they get no money for that. So basically, you're taking all your post in there, you're holding the queue up, and they get like 2p an item. Post offices are not run like they used to be run years ago. Years ago, when you had a sub post office, you used to get a wage off Royal Mail, or well, it was off the post office itself, to cover you for paying out benefits, all the stamps, everything. So depending on how big the post office was, you'd get, say, 50 grand. A bigger post office would get 100 grand, and that was like for you to pay your staff out of, take your profit, and then obviously whatever you made in the shop was your own as well. Where now they don't get that. It's sort of like gone on a sort of like bonus type thing, where he did a lottery payout this week, and it took half an hour to do it because it was a cash plus check, and they've got to check everything. It said it took 20 minutes to do it, and he got 20p for it. You know, so they prefer it if, like, the way I go in and just do it all manually, because when I do a recorded delivery parcel, they get like a certain percentage of that as like a commission. So I tend to do it that way, because I want to keep my post office going. You know, I don't want to be travelling 5 miles further to a post office every day and trying to find parking spaces and stuff like that. So for the little bit extra, and I charge it to the customers anyway, I just do it like that, you know, really.
Yeah. So I was just looking in the chat. I can't keep up. Loads of guys in there. Rachel's in there. Sean's still chatting in there.
Vinny says, thanks to Ken for helping me out last week. Made some ka-ching already. So
there was some nice items there. Yeah, he's cleared a post office out. I think an old post office, and there was some nice clocks and stuff. Yeah, he's done well there. Good items, yeah.
Oh, I think I saw some pictures. Wasn't there a perpetual calendar and stuff?
Yeah, that was really nice, that, yeah. Yeah, I've sold one of those myself, but a much older one than that. I think I got 150 quid for it. Big, you know, the people love those big calendars. They look really good on sort of like you got a nice apartment and you stick that on the wall. It stands out, you know, and all those old industrial style, utility style clocks and that do really, really well. People love that sort of stuff, you know, because you just can't get that look really by reproduction ones. They just don't look the same, you know. Yeah, he'll do well with all that stuff. There's some really good stuff there.
Silver Hair Stacker asks, what's the largest item Ken has shipped?
Largest size I've shipped? I've not shipped anything really, really massive.
Did you drive something to someone that was...
Oh yeah, that was particularly heavy, and also it was made of cast iron. Yeah.
Right, so it wasn't actually huge, but it was just heavy.
It would have got us a large parcel, but the thing weighed about 30 kilos, and with it being cast iron.
That is,
and also it was 230 quid, and I didn't want a return on that. You know, once you've got that money in your PayPal account, you don't want to be giving that back, do you?
No.
Really? Yeah, it was on a Sunday afternoon that, and he just he bought it. So I thought, oh no! I thought, well, first of all, I thought, yeah, I've sold it, great, you know, because I paid 100 quid for it. I thought, yeah, I made 100 quid profit. I thought, yeah, brilliant. And then I thought, oh shit, I'm going to have to pack it. That was the next thing. Like, I went from like the high to the low of like, I'm going to have to pack this thing up, you know. And with it being cast iron's hard as rock, but it's as brittle as anything. So you're going to have to like triple box this thing, you know, and it's just going to be a complete nightmare. So
yeah,
I looked his address up, and he was only in Thirsk, which is 50 miles away from me. So he had his phone number on the thing. So I just phoned him up. I said, look, you just bought this. I said, I'm only in Rosendale. I said I could be there I could do it in 2 hours. So I'm not bothered about doing a 4-hour round trip. And he paid me 30 quid for postage anyway, which I didn't give him back. Obviously, that covered my fuel and a little bit of my time. It was Sunday afternoon. I fancied a drive. I just drove up there, dropped it off, and he left the feedback straight away, and I drove back. But I think I would have drove quite a distance with that, really, because I'd put 30 quid postage on, and my car does 50 miles a gallon, so, it only took me 2 gallons of fuel, and I still got 20 quid for myself out of the postage, and it's done, and it's just that, not got that worry of it bloody getting broke,
Yeah, I often have that high and that low that you described, Ken. I know it well. When you sell a large item and then you're like, damn, now the fun. I've had to pack, and I've still got some really items that I'm really wanting to sell, but at the same time, I know once they've sold, I'm going to be going, oh bugger, now I've got to find card and boxes, and you do get creative. I mean, I think
making a box to fit.
I'll tell you something awesome that happened. I recently sold like a really big, heavy synth. I mean, this thing was huge and long and heavy. Luckily, like as you guys know, we've just moved up here, so we had the packaging for us like a single bed in the shed, and it was like the headboard packaging, and the headboard packaging happened to just be the right width to fit the synth. So I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I felt
I've had that as well. Yeah.
It's so nice when that happens, isn't it? When you just happen to
when I saw the artist chest a couple of weeks ago, our microwave had blown up, and we'd had a new microwave, and I said to my auntie was up, and I said, I'll keep the box for that.
Yeah.
And it was the perfect, even the polystyrene thing inside, it just slid straight into it. So I just put a load of newspaper around it, put the other polystyrene on top, and take the box up, and it was done. I just couldn't believe it. It was like made to measure, and it's just like the joy that brings is untold.
How sad is that when we're gushing over finding?
It's so true. That can make or break a day for me.
Oh, completely.
Conversely, when you have a load of boxes, I always have a load of boxes stashed at the back of here, and you've got a certain item, and it just doesn't fit in every box you've got, and that just makes me livid.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Ken, somebody was asking, do you have a van? Going back to delivering that item, do you have a van?
No, I'll tell you what, I've got a Honda Jazz. Now, that is only a small car, but you can ask Steve, when you put the back seats down in it, it is big as a small, like, say, a little Berlingo van, It's like a van. I can fit 2 chests of drawers in it stood up with the floor, because the seats fold right down into the floor. It's got a flat floor. The Jazz, the petrol tank is not under the back seat like on most cars. It's under the front seats, so all the seats just disappear straight down, and it's a really, really good load space. You can fit a lot of stuff in it. So I use that really, and it's great on fuel, and it's really reliable. So yeah, I use that. I will eventually one day get a van, of course, but that's my main priority at the moment is building that stock up. And I've bought a new printer last year. I've got one of these eco tanks. I should have got a laser really, but I've got one of these eco tanks, and the tanks are still full of ink because I'm that tight I won't use it. I still write my address labels out by hand, because I'm sort of like conscious of using that ink up. If I really need to use it, I'll use it, but that's printing.
Laser's so worth it. I mean, I've been using dodgy third-party toners from eBay. So they only cost like £7 to refill, and they print hundreds of pages.
Inkjet printers are a waste of time, aren't they?
If they're a bit slower, especially if you're printing out a lot of labels and just generally. But I mean, if you've got it, use it. I mean, you've got a massive tank of ink there. You may as well.
Yes, they're quite big. It's supposed to do 2,000 sheets, But I just got into the habit of writing my address labels out. And I just do that. My printer's just got a load of shit stuck on top of it, all bits of stock and stuff. And the thing is, I think to myself, oh shit, I've got to take all that off. Then I've got to load the paper up. What's the point?
Yeah, I'm going to invest in a decent full colour laser, because I've got an inkjet here. We've got an inkjet for the family use as well upstairs. and we spend ridiculous amounts on ink. When you add it up over a year, it's crazy.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Yeah, it's crazy.
I haven't taken the plunge. I asked a couple of weeks back into the community what they recommended, and I had so many different models recommended to me. So I'm going to have to make a decision.
Well, they reckon that on an inkjet it costs 7 pence per sheet of paper. So if you're putting an invoice in with your item and you're printing a label off, there's 14p on top of your sale. So again, if you're selling something £10 free post and you use an inkjet printer, there's another 14p gone off your profits. It soon adds up, doesn't it? All these little bits and pieces. You might think, oh, it's only a few pence here, a few pence there, but before you know it, another 20% of your profits gone down the drain. Exactly.
I was just looking in the chat. There's an interesting sort of thread going on. Sam asked, what are good items to get? Can you guys help? Now, I get that question, believe it or not, so many times on my YouTube and on my Facebook page. People just message me and say, I'm going to have a go at this. What should I buy? Literally that. Like, I'm going to message them a list of the top 10 items to pick up. But somebody replied, Wesley said, are you serious? Nobody's going to tell you that. Watch the reseller videos and research yourself. Exactly. I always say your best tool to find out what sells on eBay is eBay. That information is all freely available. Just do completed searches in different niches and different stuff, and list it by highest price first. You'll soon find a list of 50 items that you can keep your eyes peeled for. But nothing is better than going out and just having a go, picking up.
Yeah, I think, like you say that. Nick, you're right there. The videos will only take you so far. I get more and more experience now. I spend less and less time researching prices.
Yeah.
Less time researching stock because I see a hip flask. Like I've got a hip flask down here. I got a couple of weeks ago. This hip flask. I paid £5 for it. And I thought, well, yeah, I sold one of them last year for 25 quid. So I know roughly it's going to go for 25 to 30 quid. I don't have to research it. It's much quicker to list, but it's just experience, That's
what I was going to say. That's the confidence of having done it. You've been there. You've had X amount of hit flasks, and you can't lose on it. And it's the same with a lot of what I sell. It's like I've had one similar to that, or I sold this game before, or that.
Yeah. So but I'd say as for what to look out for, I say from my point of view, I go to the auctions. And I couldn't tell you what to look out for because till I get there, I don't even know what I'm buying myself. Do you know what I mean? I haven't got a clue because I go in there, I look at the catalogue the night before, and if it's a printed catalogue, especially with no pictures, I think that sounds great, that sounds great, oh, that sounds great. I get there and come home with completely different stuff to what I've gone for, either because I've been outbid or because there's other stuff there that didn't sound so great, but when you get there, there's a couple of really killer items in the set, in the box or whatever. So what you've got to do really is try and develop a sort of gut feeling to spot value. If you can spot value, it doesn't matter what you're buying really. No. If you could go to a car boot and you can see something you think, that looks expensive, and he only wants a couple of quid for it, 99 times out of 100, you're going to get a decent price for it. I mean, do you remember that stethoscope I bought, Z, when I was with you that day?
Yeah.
I didn't have a clue about that. And I paid 20 quid for it, but I looked at it, it was complete, it was in mint condition, and it just looked so well made and so expensive. And I paid 20 quid for it. He wouldn't come down. I tried to get him down to 15. He wouldn't come down. He wouldn't even let me have for 18, would he? So I paid 20 quid for it, and I put it on eBay, and I got £109 for it, and it sold within about 2 weeks. I knew nothing about that, but I could see it was quality,
That's the thing. One of the best things about doing reselling is the variety that it brings to you. I mean, you might have like a specific kind of interest in something or a passion in something, but that does not mean that you'll be selling the weirdest stuff. I mean, just in the past few weeks, I've sold so many different things from so many different like areas of just general life, I suppose. Like, whether it's household appliances, electricals, vintage, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's like, it is about getting out there and and kind of developing like that gut, like Ken says, where you can go out, look at things and just think, that looks cool, you know, I can make some money off of it. And you have to develop that. And Nick will agree as well, Ken will agree, that you develop that just by doing. I mean, just some of the weird stuff you pick up, you know, over it's not even weird. The variety is the word. The variety of things that you pick up.
Yeah.
The more variety you can pick up, the more you'll make, you know, eventually.
I was going to say, Sam, if you're still watching, hopefully that will kind of answer your question, really. There is no answer to it. And like Zahir was saying, in any given week, the variety and weirdness of the range of stuff that I'll sell, same as Ken and Zahir, it's mind-boggling. And when you expand that over the years that we've been doing this between us, I could never list all the things that are worth picking up. There is no list available. So, yeah. And to be fair,
generally speaking, if something's expensive new, it's going to be expensive second-hand.
Yeah. And you gather that confidence, don't you, as you go? But I was going to say, in fair play to Sam, he says, thanks for letting me know, beginner reseller. So, but that's fine. Everybody starts somewhere. And when I started, I was flailing in the wind like everybody else. So, yeah.
I sold a couple of vaginal speculums, didn't I, Nick? And you couldn't believe that, could you?
There's quite a demand for them, apparently.
Yeah, perverts love them. And, you know, they were just in a job lot, and I listed them. I got 20 quid for them, you know, and they sold really, really quick as well. You know, so there is a demand for everything, really. There's people want stuff, and if it's well made and what have you, and it looks expensive, generally speaking, it usually will be. Like you with your keyboards and that, Z.
Yeah.
You know, you're selling those keyboards, they're expensive new, so they're going to be expensive second hand, aren't they?
Exactly. I mean, hold on a second. I mean, I picked this up. I've never had one of these before. I didn't even. It's actually like a really. I've ordered an audio cable so I can play with it before I sell it. This is so cool. I've never had one of these, but you learn that it's a drum machine.
Oh, right.
So it's a really old school vintage 80s drum machine. So I'm going to plug it into my amp and have a real mess around with it when I get a chance. I'm just waiting for the cables to arrive. But, you know, I got this at auction. You know, to a lot of people, it just looks like trash. Look, bits fall off it. The sliders come out. But, assuming it's working, it'll easily get me over 100 quid.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
That whole old school dance sort of 80s sound is so in, isn't it? The whole retro sound. So
yeah. Sort
of techie nerds who want to.
That's the thing. I've never had a drum machine. I've never had any inkling about owning a drum or I've never wanted to own a drum machine. I've never thought about it. It's never been on my radar. But now I've got one, I get to play with one, and I'm gonna have a good laugh with it. I've watched a few YouTube videos, and you can make some beats on this thing, so it should be fun.
It's just about recognising opportunity, isn't it? That's all it is.
Yeah.
And be willing to take a little bit of a chance, really, you know.
Well, definitely. That's the other thing. I mean, I think I paid about 30 something at auction. No power supply, but just, you know, you have to take a risk, and, you know, it pays off sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it's paid off. You know, I know it powers up because I've got a power supply that works with it, and it works. I'm just going to get the audio cable just to mess around with it, and then make a good quick profit. It will sell quickly as well. So, but again, until I took a chance on it, I knew nothing about it. I'm not, you know, I don't have any background in it.
You're buying an education as well, aren't you, really?
Definitely.
You know.
Definitely.
I had to laugh then. I think this is going back to you writing your labels, Ken. It's Vincent says, bless Ken, he's that tight he squeaks.
What did he say? Is that tight what, sorry?
He says that you're that tight you squeak.
Well, I just don't like wasting money, you know. It's just one of those, isn't it? It's like when I get a job lot, there'll be some things in there that are not really my thing, but I'll still list them because I've got an anchor shop. And basically, even if it gets a tenner, it's a tenner off the cost of that job lot. And the premium items that I've bought in there are suddenly making more money.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I try not to waste anything. And even sort of like when I buy job lots of badges and stuff, I have a drawer here, and anything that's really crap, I just throw them in there, and then every so many weeks I do my junk drawer lots, and they always get bids, you know, they always sell. I don't throw anything away like that. Even the postcards, I'll put them into lots of 100, the really crappy stuff, and just get rid of them and get some of the money back, you know. You've got to think like that if you're running a business. Every penny counts, honestly. You can easily hemorrhage money without even realising it, you know. You know.
Yeah, well, the less you spend on your business, the more you're making. It all comes off your bottom line, doesn't it? So
it does, yeah.
Makes sense. Vincent again asks you, Ken, how much on average would you spend at an auction? I suppose that's how long's a bit of string, isn't it?
It's usually between 300 and 500 when I go, much as I can afford. And if I had £2,000 on me and there was £2,000 worth of stock that I wanted, I'd spend the full £2,000. You know, it all depends. Like at this time of the year now, it's got a little bit thinner on the ground. I've not been to that many. I bought a few bits off eBay because I'm at that tail end now where I've got stock to list, but also I'm at that tail end of my PayPal capital. So the money's thin on the ground coming back in, especially if I have a couple of bad weeks. Every week, but when I get my new PayPal capital, I'll be there maybe at 2 auctions a week, and I'll start stocking up again, you know, to take it to the next level. But I'll spend as much as I need to spend, really, without getting into serious financial difficulty. Yeah, really, you know, just spend as much as you can.
I think the other thing
I'm not afraid to turn a deal away. You know, I won't overpay for stuff.
Just the other thing, Ken, though, like auctions are much like boot fairs in a way, though, aren't they? I think sometimes people get the impression that you just have to go to an auction and there'll be great stuff there. I mean, you can go to an auction and it'll be terrible, and then the same auction the week after will be amazing, right? So it's
or sometimes it can be really, really great, but you've got 3 or 4 bidders there who are spending money like a drunken sailor, and you just can't get in. You know, then you'll go another week, and I went to one in May, and it was brilliant. It was a Saturday one, and all the usual buyers that go to the Wednesday one weren't there because it was bank holiday weekend, and they were all doing the antiques fairs. So I got there, and I was virtually the only dealer there. It was all just casual buyers, and I cleaned up. I was getting enamel sides for 18 quid, and you know, stuff ridiculous prices on stuff. But I could have got another week and had to pay 100 quid for that side. Well, I wouldn't have paid 100 quid. I'd have been outbid at 100 quid. But I mean, some of the bidders at our place, I just don't know how they make a profit because they're bidding beyond the eBay price for stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Then other times, giveaways. You know, it is hit and miss.
It's a place auction. It really is, because sometimes people will just. I think they must just get carried away, or not really realize the value. Like I get the feeling that sometimes people just quickly do a quick eBay search and they see that someone's asking 500 quid for something at buy it now, and then assume that's what it's worth, and then they bid silly money for it, not realizing that one's never sold at anywhere near 500, and it's just someone taking a chance, and they'll just bid and bid and bid without, you know.
But I would say if you go to an auction with a large enough catalogue, you will be able to come away with something, no matter what. I mean, I went to a really posh one in Whitchurch last time I got my PayPal working capital. I had a day out in Whitchurch at Trevenian and Dean. She's on telly. She's on the Antiques Roadshow, Christine Trevenian. Proper nice auction. It was in an old clock factory. They used to make clocks for church towers, and it had one of the original clocks at the end of the building. The auction house was upstairs, and this clock was like running. They had it running, and like all the mechanics of it. Oh, it's just beautiful, beautiful auctions, but beautiful prices. I mean, some of the stuff there went crazy, you know. But I still come away with something. I still come away with a few lots, and I made profit on all the items I come away with. And there were some serious heavyweight dealers in there bidding stuff up. I mean, there was stuff there going for 20 and 30,000 quid. You know, it was like unbelievable. And there was about 8 job lots of military badges, and I managed to get 1 job lot out of the 8. There was 3 big militaria dealers there, and they were just going twice what I'd estimated because they'd looked at every badge individually. I'd just done a calculation. Yeah, there's 100 badges. I'll pay 4 quid a badge. I didn't go like... They'd obviously gone the day before, and checked every badge against what they could get for it, because there's some very rare badges in it. So I only got one lot, and I paid 320 quid for this job lot of badges. And all the way home, I'm driving home, and I'm thinking, what have you paid that for, you tit? You know, you're going to lose money on this. What the fuck have you done there? You're a dick. You got carried away. You know, you've got all that PayPal money in your account. You've gone mad. And I'm telling myself off all the way back from Whitchurch. And I get home at the night time, and I start looking them all up and calculating them up, and there was 1,500 quid's worth of badges.
Oh.
So I generally work on the auction, not on each individual item, because obviously if you're buying a big item, you might double your money, but I tend to work, if I spend 500, I want to gross 2,000.
Yeah.
That allows me £500 for costs and £1,000 profit. That's roughly how I work it out, you know, over the whole lot. And I tend to make that up by buying job lots of postcards, job lots of small items, which have got a higher profit because there's so many items. And then a few of the smaller items are just double your money items. So a few of the large items, just say double your money items, but it all averages out at between 3.5 and 4 times what you've paid out. And it was like almost 5 times what I'd paid out. And they've been selling nice and steadily. So I was all right, you know, and I thought I'd overpaid for those.
You've got another fan in the chat here, Ken. Adam Butterworth says, Ken Chapman, this guy can talk all day long. But the good thing is I could listen to him all day. Love it when he's on the show. So you've got a definite fan there.
Oh, it's nice to know.
Ken's had plenty of positive comments, I think, through there. It's just hard to keep up with them all. It's just, you know, definitely.
I had a fanboy this week buy a badge off me as well, so I was well chuffed with that. And he only bought it to say thank you for the videos, so it was great.
Oh, that is brilliant.
Someone's just asked a question. Well, I'm a bit behind on the chat, actually. Kay Horsley, Nick, what is better, buying a job lot on eBay or just going to Car Boots? Whatever you can make work. I must have said this 100 times. There is no right and wrong. And if you can make good money and it works for you buying job lots off eBay, then that's perhaps what you should do. You know what I mean? Just got to use your own initiative.
You can make fantastic money everywhere. It's just a case of, like we've just said, it's being able to spot that opportunity. You see it. I mean, I've seen job lots of badges on eBay where it's 400 and 500 badges, and they want 50 quid, and I wouldn't even give them a fiver for them because they're rubbish badges, the communist East European badges that are worth nothing. You know, you can't sell them. But then again, you could get another job lot of 500 badges for 200 quid, and yeah, there's 20 and 30 pound badges in there. It's having the ability to spot the value within that job lot. That's the big thing. Yeah. Exactly the same as when you go to the car boot. It's all about being able to spot the value. It's nothing. That's all it comes down to. Like everyone says, the profit is made when you buy it, because some items don't sell and some items are just not worth bothering with. And it's once you sort of like filter those out, but be open to things that you don't know anything about. Like I noticed in your background there, you've got all these tripods, Nick. I bet you absolutely jack shit about them before you put them on. You know, so you've got, but your thing is, you know that I've only paid a couple of quid for them and they're going to sell, you know.
I've got hundreds of the things, mate.
Yeah.
These are the big ones. I do have some dumpy ones, actually, which are like way smaller. I sold one today. But yeah, they do actually owe me £2 an item when you work it out, the whole thing.
So the thing is, you know you're not going to lose. You know, there's money there. And it's just that ability to spot value. I think a lot of the time when we all start out, we all end up overpaying for stuff. We're all more optimistic on what we're going to get for it than what we actually are going to get for it. And we don't take enough notice of the condition of items, which can be critical, can't it? Board games and stuff like that, especially if there's parts missing or whatever, you're just writing money off, aren't you? You might as well just throw the stuff away. So, yeah, it's just a case of really being able to spot the details and being able to spot the details quick, I'd say. That's the main thing. But it doesn't come overnight. You just build it up, don't you?
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's built up, certainly from my point of view over the years, is kind of the nerve to really go with what you believe is right. Like this whole deal came about because I took the guy's number and I messaged him and just kept going and pushing it. And then when I went and saw the stock, I just had the confidence to go big, which perhaps 10 years ago I would have struggled with because it was an awful lot of money. But yeah, I'll take that risk, really. but that comes over time, I think.
Yeah.
So we've been going an hour and a half. How are you guys fixed? Should we see if there's another question or two and then wrap it up?
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, I'm not particularly doing anything. I've got to do a bit of listing, but that's about it tonight.
Yeah, I've got an FBA shipment to do. Oh, and I haven't eaten. I need to eat. I do forget to eat sometimes.
I wish I could forget to eat.
Someone's just said CEX resurface for free if you're a member. See, I don't. Mine doesn't. I need to pester them for that. They charge me.
They know who you are.
Maybe.
They've got one of those wanted signs in the back with like a...
Perhaps it's turning up with a wheelbarrow full of CDs that does it, puts them off a bit.
Yeah, if they say, yeah, we'll do it for free, Nick, I'll turn up with a massive heap every week. I can't see any particular questions, so perhaps we'll just wind up. So what are you... Is it just same old, you two guys? What's the plans? Listing for the next few days?
Yeah, listed. I'm going to do a bit of painting as well. I'm starting to sell my War Games figures individually on eBay now, and I've considerably increased my prices because my standard of my painting's improved considerably, and I think I'm worth a bit more money. So I'm going to start doing that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell them individually. And because I've got, like I say again, the anchor shop, it doesn't cost me anything to have them listed because I'm already paying the anchor shop fee, which covers you. So I'm just going to put them on all year round, and then hopefully next year, when it gets to the War Games season, I'll have a full shop full of stock, and they'll just go out for premium prices. So I'll do a few of those tomorrow. I'm doing Vikings at the moment, and I'm listing. I've got a few large items to list, and then the rest is postcards and badges. Cool. I could keep going on postcards for bloody 2 years, really, if I wanted to. I've got carrier bags full of them.
Oh, and happy birthday for your daughters are here. Did she have a good one?
Yeah, she got what she wanted, more digital content for The Sims 4.
Right.
It's the game that keeps costing and costing. Every few months, they're adding bits to it. And so she was very pleased with that, definitely. By the way, we've got 132 people in here, which is a testament to Ken's rock star status. People love watching and listening to.
I'm just an old tart. That's all I am.
just love the attention, do you?
Yeah, I'm just a whore.
Oh yeah, me too. I just love it.
I noticed. I think we beat our record. It got just under 150 earlier. So that's, yeah.
We're hoping people are going to be smashing that like button. Because
let's try that. I always forget to ask.
Yeah, we're on 49 thumbs ups at the moment with 132 people watching. So I'm hoping that you guys will show your support for the weekly chat and for the awesome knowledge, obviously, that Ken has shared. And plus it's nice for our egos, just to get lots of thumbs up.
51, 50, 56. Whoa. Epic. Okay, well, yeah. Thanks, guys, for coming in and chatting with me. It's always good to catch up with you, Ken. And
no problem.
It's been a pleasure.
Yep, it's been brilliant as usual.
Everybody in the chat, I'm sorry we struggled to keep up. You're just so chatty.
We need to work on our on how to manage the comments a bit better, just to be able to answer a few more questions. But we're working on it, guys. It's on the to-do list, isn't it, Nick?
Yeah, we've got long to-do lists. Yeah. But yeah, appreciate everyone dropping in and saying hello, and I'll catch up with you guys soon. Bye.
Thanks for watching, guys.
See you now. Bye.
Bye.